Most people will never know that the most powerful healing system ever created was not built in a pharmaceutical laboratory. It was not discovered by a team of researchers in white coats. It was written down thousands of years ago in a single verse of Scripture. Deuteronomy 8:8. God is speaking to Moses about the Promised Land, and instead of describing it in broad terms, he becomes precise. 7 specific foods listed by name: wheat, barley, grapes, figs, pomegranates, olives, and dates. Scholars have read this passage for centuries as a description of agricultural abundance. That reading is correct. But modern nutritional science has noticed something else entirely. These 7 foods together form one of the most complete healing combinations ever assembled, and the way they work together is almost impossible to attribute to coincidence. Today we are breaking down all 7 of them. Stay with us, because number 4 on this list contains a compound found almost nowhere else in nature, a compound that cancer researchers are now studying with serious attention. And number 1, the food mentioned over 140 times across Scripture, turns out to behave almost identically to ibuprofen inside the human body. No side effects, no prescription required. 7 foods, thousands of years of wisdom. Let us get into it. Number 7. Wheat, the foundation that feeds your brain and body for hours. When God listed wheat first among the 7 sacred foods, it was not random. Wheat was the foundation of life in the ancient world, ground into bread eaten every single day by prophets, farmers, soldiers, and ordinary families across generations. And it turns out that foundation was doing something remarkable inside the body. Whole grain wheat delivers complex carbohydrates that release energy slowly and steadily over hours. No spike, no crash. Just sustained mental and physical fuel that kept ancient people working, praying, and functioning at a high level from morning until evening. It also provides B vitamins essential for brain function and nervous system health, and meaningful amounts of zinc and magnesium, 2 minerals that a significant portion of the modern population is deficient in right now. The ancient world did not need a study to understand that people who ate this bread daily were stronger and sharper than those who did not. They watched it happen across generations and built entire civilizations on top of it. Number 6. Barley, the grain of ordinary people that outperforms everything. Barley was not glamorous. It was the grain of soldiers on campaign and common laborers who could not afford wheat. But it turns out the everyday person was eating one of the most cardiovascular protective grains ever studied. Barley contains the highest concentration of a fiber called beta-glucan found in any grain on Earth. The FDA has formally approved a health claim for products containing it because the research is that strong. This fiber forms a slow-moving gel inside the digestive tract that does several things simultaneously. It slows glucose absorption after a meal, flattening blood sugar spikes. It binds to LDL cholesterol and carries it out of the body before it can be reabsorbed. It feeds beneficial gut bacteria, and it actively stimulates immune cell activity. Clinical comparisons between barley and oats consistently show barley outperforming oats in post-meal blood sugar response. The people who ate this grain as their daily staple were not settling for second best. They were eating something that modern nutritional science keeps returning to with increasing admiration. Number 5. Grapes, the fruit that switches on your body's own repair system. The vine is one of the most spiritually significant images in all of Scripture. Noah plants a vineyard as his first act after the flood. Grapes appear at the Passover table and throughout the Song of Solomon. This was not incidental. Something about this plant kept drawing attention. Fresh grapes are packed with natural compounds that help your body repair itself and stay healthy longer. Most of that goodness is concentrated in the skin and seeds, so eating them whole is the most effective way to consume them. These compounds switch on the body's own cellular repair processes and protect the heart and cardiovascular system at multiple levels simultaneously. Research has shown that regular grape consumption reduces oxidative damage to cells, lowers blood pressure, and improves arterial flexibility. The ancient world built this fruit into their most sacred moments because generation after generation they watched what happened to people who consumed it regularly versus those who did not. Sometimes the oldest observations are the most reliable ones. Number 4. Pomegranates, the compound that cancer researchers cannot stop studying. King Solomon's temple had 200 carved pomegranates on its pillars. The high priest's robe was decorated with them. This fruit was worked into the most sacred architecture in the ancient world, and modern antioxidant science has spent decades trying to understand why. Here is what they found. Pomegranates contain a compound called punicalagin that exists in almost no other food source on Earth. When the gut processes this compound, it breaks it down into substances called urolithins, and these are where modern research is focusing intense attention. Urolithins have shown powerful anti-inflammatory effects, mitochondrial protective properties, and in laboratory studies demonstrated the ability to selectively target certain cancer cell lines in ways that researchers describe as significant. Clinical trials using pomegranate juice have shown measurable reductions in blood pressure, lower oxidation of LDL cholesterol, improved arterial flexibility, and reduced levels of C-reactive protein, one of the primary blood markers for systemic inflammation. The polyphenol concentration in pomegranates outranks red wine, green tea, and blueberries. The people who carved this fruit into their most sacred spaces were not being decorative. They were honoring something they had watched heal people for centuries. Number 3. Figs. The prescription that saved a king. Here is a detail buried in Scripture that most people walk right past. When King Hezekiah was dying from a severe infectious wound, the prophet Isaiah did not only pray. He gave a medical instruction. He ordered a paste of figs pressed directly onto the wound. The king recovered. Modern science eventually caught up. Figs contain physin, an enzyme that breaks down damaged tissue and promotes wound healing. They also contain compounds with documented antimicrobial properties, but eaten as food, figs are among the most mineral-dense fruits available. Rich in pectin fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria, high in magnesium, potassium, calcium, and B vitamins in concentrations that made them a functional multivitamin in a world without supplements. Isaiah did not guess. He prescribed, and the prescription worked. Number 2. Dates. The survival food with a clinical record going back thousands of years. Desert traders, soldiers, and pilgrims crossing the Judean wilderness carried dates because dates kept them moving when nothing else would. Calorie-dense, shelf-stable for months without refrigeration, and packed with rapid-absorbing natural sugars that refuel the body without the crash that follows refined sugar. But here is what makes dates medically remarkable. Multiple controlled clinical trials have shown that women who consume dates regularly in the final weeks of pregnancy experienced significantly shorter labor times and better delivery outcomes. Ancient midwives across the region prescribed dates for exactly this reason. Modern obstetrics is now catching up to what they already knew. The fiber content slows the absorption of natural sugars enough that the glycemic response is far gentler than refined sweeteners. This is not a trendy superfood. This is a survival food with a clinical record going back thousands of years. Number 1. Olive oil. The ancient world's most complete medicine. There is a reason olive oil is referenced over 140 times in biblical scripture. Kings were anointed with it. Wounds were dressed with it. The Good Samaritan in Luke 10 pours both oil and wine into a stranger's wounds as an act of medical care. This was not symbolism. This was the application of genuine medicine by someone who understood exactly what they were doing. Extra virgin olive oil contains a compound called oleocanthal. And this is the part that stops people in their tracks. Oleocanthal operates through essentially the same biochemical pathway as ibuprofen in reducing inflammation inside the body. Same anti-inflammatory mechanism. No side effects. No stomach irritation. Just a steady daily lowering of the chronic inflammation that drives nearly every major disease we face today. The Mediterranean diet, which positions olive oil as its cornerstone, has been examined in hundreds of controlled clinical trials and consistently linked to dramatically reduced rates of cardiovascular disease, cancer, cognitive decline, and all-cause mortality. The people of the ancient world did not take supplements. They poured this over everything, and study after study keeps confirming that they were right. 7 foods, 1 verse of Scripture. And when researchers analyze them together as a system, they find something almost impossible to explain as coincidence. Each food provides what the others lack. The minerals the grains miss are covered by the fruits. The fat-soluble nutrients from the olives make everything else in this list more bioavailable. The anti-inflammatory compounds from multiple sources work together, producing effects greater than any single ingredient could generate alone. The ancient world did not need a clinical trial to understand this. They had thousands of years of results written in how long people lived and how well they worked. Modern science did not discover these benefits. It confirmed them. And that should change the way you think about what you put on your plate every single day. Pick 1 food from this list and start today. Not as a supplement. Not as an add-on. As food the way it was always intended to be used. Drop a comment below and tell me which one surprised you most. If this video gave you something valuable, hit the like button and subscribe because what we are uncovering next goes even deeper. You do not want to miss it.